all the time. Give me the last top 5 quarterback that flipped a bad football team.
To you to play with him again in Tennessee, to home where everything started.
The Rams, I don't know. Who is the first pick?
Bears.
The Bears have the first pick.
You think they're going to keep Justin?
They should if they're smart, but
It's the Bears.
You said it, not me.
The NFL is always changing, and this offseason is no different as plenty of NFL superstars are about to switch teams. And it's the perfect opportunity for your favorite team to become Super Bowl contenders. Unless if you're the Carolina Panthers, there's like virtually no hope for you guys to become Super Bowl contenders. I'm kidding! Some of the best quarterbacks in the league are leaving their teams. An all-pro edge rusher is already guaranteed to leave his current franchise, and even future Hall of Fame wide receivers will be changing teams this year. Just like the first player on this list who might have made the biggest career mistake in NFL history, but now has a chance to correct it. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we got all that out of the way, work! My Super Bowl picks that I made in my content with the Patrick Mahomes free square didn't hit, but the one that I posted onto my story did hit, and you guys let me know how much money you made in my DMs. And now that the NFL season's over, we're officially directing our attention to the NBA. I give away my picks for free at The Flight Mike on Instagram, and right now when you sign up for Prize Picks, use promo code FlightMike to get up to a $100 deposit match when you sign up on Prize Picks. Or you can just use my link in the description down below. And thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Just a few years ago, Davante Adams requested a trade from the Green Bay Packers to the Las Vegas Raiders despite being offered more money from the Green Bay Packers. This was due to the fact that he didn't want to deal with the uncertainty of Jordan Love at quarterback, since it was obvious the Packers were trying to move on from Aaron Rodgers. However, since being traded to the Las Vegas Raiders, he's had a different starting quarterback every single year. In 2024 isn't looking any different, as the Raiders just cut Jimmy Garoppolo. Davante Adams has made it clear that he cares about his legacy a lot, and catching passes from Aiden O'Connell probably won't be doing his legacy any favors. For this reason, he'll probably want to request a trade out of Las Vegas and maybe reunite with former quarterback Aaron Rodgers in New York. Now, there's a huge problem with this fantasy. The Jets don't have much salary cap room, and they probably want to work on their offensive line more than anything, so honestly, if Adams does get traded, it probably won't be to the New York Jets. When you consider the fact that he has one of the highest cap hits in the NFL amongst wide receivers, that possibility looks more and more bleak. But another wide receiver that is without a doubt a first ballot Hall of Famer and a Super Bowl champion that could be willing to take a pay cut to play with another championship caliber team would be Mike Evans. Now, Mike Evans has had to catch passes from Josh McCown, Mike Glennon, a 36-year-old Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Jameis Winston, and still happened to put up over 1,000 yards receiving in every season he's ever played. The future Hall of Famer is now entering free agency for the first time in his career, and depending on what he's looking for in a team, his destinations could vary. If you listen to Baker Mayfield, he'll say that Mike Evans is going back to Tampa Bay. But if Mike Evans wants to keep winning Super Bowls like he did with Tom Brady, then maybe going to the Kansas City Chiefs to team up with 3-time Super Bowl champion Patrick Mahomes could be his best bet. Seeing as the one knock on the 2023 Super Bowl champions is that they don't have a true number 1 wide receiver. Or he could team up with the next player on this list to create one of the most intriguing wide receiver duos in the NFL. You see, Odell Beckham Jr. might not be the same receiver that he was with the New York Giants or the Cleveland Browns, but don't get it twisted, he can still get separation from defensive backs and is still one of the best wide receivers in the league. Despite what surface level stats might say, OBJ can still produce as a wide receiver 1 if given the chance. Problem is injuries. Odell just started in 6 of the 14 games he played in last season, and after week 1, he's never played in over 40% of the team's offensive snaps in a game. If OBJ can stay healthy and be given a wide receiver 1 snap count, there's no doubt that he is still capable of hauling in over 1,000 receiving yards and double-digit touchdowns. However, OBJ seems to be ring chasing at this point of his career, so he will likely be signing with the contender this season. And unlike a lot of wide receivers on this list, he won't cost upwards of $20 million a season. If he does end up teaming up with Mike Evans, they would run circles around secondaries. Who knows? Maybe he teams up with the next player on this list who's already capable of running circles tackles around defenses, but now he needs to prove that he's capable of passing around them as well. As of right now, it seems like when the NFL's new league year begins in March and teams are finally allowed to trade players, Justin Fields will be on a one-way flight out of Chicago, and the Bears will be drafting Caleb Williams first overall in the upcoming NFL draft. Despite the lackluster statistics that Fields has put up as a 3-year starter, many believe that the Bears and Fields failed mainly because of bad coaching, a mediocre offensive line, and mainly the Bears' inability to develop a quarterback. Fields has flashed potential every single year as a starter, and definitely showed improvement in 2023, as he had his first ever 4-touchdown game. So it makes sense that every single team in need of a quarterback is in on the Justin Fields sweepstakes. The only question remaining is where he will end up, because as of right now, it certainly isn't Chicago. But whatever teams are interested in Justin Fields are probably also interested in his NFC North rival, who will also probably be on the move this offseason. If there's one thing that's for certain about Kirk Cousins, it's that he'll get paid a massive amount of money this offseason. The former and Vikings quarterback was the first ever quarterback to sign a fully guaranteed contract back in 2018, and now is looking to repeat that contract, but this time with significantly more money. Before tearing his Achilles last season, Kirk Cousins was on pace to become an MVP candidate, and because of that, expect Kirk Cousins to demand MVP type money this offseason. He's been rumored to go back to the Vikings, but with Justin Jefferson's massive extension looming, it's unlikely that the Vikings will be able to pay a wide receiver upwards of $40 million and then a middle-aged quarterback $50+ million, and then still be able to build a competitive roster surrounding them. Kirk Cousins is the top quarterback on the market this offseason. Don't worry if your favorite team doesn't sign him, because the next player on this list might have an even higher ceiling than Kirk. After helping lead the Denver Broncos back into playoff contention, and at the time of his benching having top 10 quarterback statistics in the NFL, Russell Wilson is now on the trade block just 2 years after getting traded from Seattle and signing a mega contract with the Denver Broncos. The reason for his benching isn't because of his play on the field, and it isn't because the Denver Broncos kept on losing. It was because the Broncos wanted him to change his contract, and the former All-Pro quarterback refused to do so. So Russell Wilson is now on the trade block, and even if he isn't traded, Wilson will probably be cut from the roster, meaning there is almost a 100% guarantee we see Russell Wilson in another uniform next season. Despite what some people might say, Russell Wilson is still one of the best quarterbacks in the world, and he can definitely start in the NFL, as last season he posted 29 combined rushing and passing TDs and just 8 interceptions in 15 starts. Plus, now he'll be getting paid a king's ransom by the Broncos to not play on their football team if he gets cut. He'll be a cheap alternative for teams who missed out on Kirk Cousins. Now, what about the running back market? Derrick Henry is still one of the best running backs in the entire NFL, and despite having the lowest yards per attempt since his second season in the NFL, he'll still fetch a nice contract this offseason. The first time free agents' low yards per attempt can be attributed to the Titans' offensive line, which was a complete mess last season. Look at Christian McCaffrey, for example. He had 3.8 yards per attempt in 2020 and then 4.5 yards per attempt in 2021, behind a terrible Panthers offensive line, but when he moved to the 49ers, he put up a career best 5.4 yards per attempt in 2023. Now, of course, there's a significant age difference between Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey, but in the right situation, Derrick Henry is capable of putting up monster numbers. He just needs to play behind an offensive line that are capable of giving him running lanes that are bigger than a drive-through window. For this reason, don't be shocked if the future Hall of Famer gets a bag this offseason from a team who struggled running the ball last season. Because even if he does have a terrible offensive line, he's still capable of giving you over 1,000 yards rushing and double-digit touchdowns. But if he's playing against the next player on this list, expect him to have an off day. In just 5 years, Brian Burns has already racked up 46 career sacks, nearly 100 QB hits, and just under 60 tackles for a loss. The two-time Pro Bowler failed to come to an agreement with the Panthers on a contract extension, when the team offered Burns up to $27 million a year. However, Burns reportedly wants nearly $30 million a year instead. Brian Burns is a perfect candidate for a nearly $120 million contract, as the edge rusher is just entering the prime of his career, as he'll turn 26 years old next season, and could bring instant pass rush to any team willing to dish out the money to bring in the potential Defensive Player of the Year candidate. The one knock on Burns is that he's only achieved double-digit sacks just once in his career, which could be a warning sign about his future production. But if you're worried about sacks, look no further than the next player on this list who's made history when it comes to sacking the quarterback. After switching positions from inside linebacker to outside linebacker for the Cardinals in 2020, Haason Reddick has been one of the best edge rushers in football, as he's forced 13 fumbles, had double-digit sacks in every season, and has accumulated over 50 sacks, over 50 tackles for a loss, and 83 QB hits. Just last season, Reddick became the first player in NFL history to achieve double-digit sacks in 3 straight seasons for 3 different teams, meaning he can get the job done no matter where he plays. Reddick will now be on the move this offseason, not because he's a free agent or because he requested a trade, but because the Philadelphia Eagles want to trade him to open up some much-needed cap space. Unlike Burns, Reddick has proven that he can achieve double-digit sacks consistently, and instead of paying upwards of $30 million a year for him, all your favorite team needs to do is give up some draft capital. But the next player on this list is the best of both worlds, as teams won't need to give up much draft capital to acquire him, and he won't need to be paid a boatload of money either. Tyler Boyd is a top-tier wide receiver who's been overshadowed by generational talent his entire career. At nearly 30 years old, Boyd has had to play second wide receiver roles to stars such as AJ Green, and now with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And with Chase and Higgins appearing to return to Cincinnati on either contract extensions or the franchise tag, that leaves Tyler Boyd as the odd man out. Despite being a second receiver, Boyd has still managed to have over 1,000 yards receiving twice in his career, and if given the opportunity, he could manage to do it again. Tyler Boyd could be the perfect bargain bin pickup for any team this offseason, and who knows, he can manage to shock the world if he's given the opportunity to be a number 1 wide receiver. Let me know in the comment section down below if we left anyone off of this list. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.